Hello, everybody, and welcome to the White Hatter YouTube News Show. I'm Brandon.
I'm Darren.
Let's get into some news topics, shall we?
In the news.
First in the news was leaked communications within TikTok employees that alleges that user private data in the United States was accessible by engineers in China, despite TikTok claiming that that is not doable and not possible. This hasn't been the first time a social media company said, oh, that's not doable, that doesn't happen, when in fact it does. Waiting for these allegations to officially be proven right or wrong, but it is interesting that there has been some leaks.
We wrote an article about this about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where the independent research done could not find a connection at the time, right? Like they just couldn't. So this is the first time that this is kind of being leaked by internal. Now, has anybody confirmed the reporting? Like, not
that I've seen. No employees come out and actually on the record sort of confirm.
So why is this so important?
Well, there's a big issue around the Chinese government having access to North American citizens' data. That was a huge concern for security and privacy, given authoritarian tendencies within China compared to what we kind of hold in here in North America. Right. That's been a big issue. One of the reasons why TikTok being probably the biggest social media network right now. So there are questions in regards to how the company handles the data. Right. Is this a big issue?
Well, I guess it maybe depends. Like if a parent has the app on their phone, is there programming within the app itself that now gives China access to a lot of the personal information that we're storing on these phones, right? Like, those are questions that are unanswered.
That you would give the app access permission to. I mean, if you give the app location data information.
But what if the program that is being downloaded has code in there that nobody really knows about that actually deeper into your device? Because we know that happens.
Yeah, Facebook could do the same thing.
Exactly.
Right? So
right?
Any app could do that, but from people who have done research in the app, there hasn't been anything particularly big issue in that regards. So, Apple has a server in China. Yeah. So,
one of my concerns here, and we've said this before because we've done presentations at schools that have international students. Yeah. Here on the West Coast, we have a large Asian population of students coming to us from other countries like China and stuff, right? And my biggest concern is, students that are coming to visit us in North America from China on student visas, they're experiencing a whole level of openness and non-privacy related issues. Accessibility, where they can say and post things, right? Which they could never say or do if they were in China. True. But my fear now is that when they return back to China, China now potentially has the ability to identify their citizens who are here going to school, doing things in social media on TikTok here in North America that could be extremely problematic when they get back to their country, right? That's one of the reasons why we say to students who are here on visas from places like China and some of the other more communist type of countries is use a secondary phone here in this country with a different name to help kind of anonymize yourself so that when you do return back to China, don't bring the throwaway phone with you, right? Just leave it in North America, right? Which from a safety standpoint, right? So, but this one is interesting, for sure, because again, we wrote an article about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, saying that, TikTok, based upon all the good evidence-based peer-reviewed research, saying that doesn't look like it's happening. There is a concern, but this is the first time we've got an insider saying, no, it's happening.
But does it really matter? Because, you're looking at...
I guess it depends upon what they're capturing, right?
Well, how is this different than, say, the state of China hiring a data collection firm, which, as we've seen, is a thing that happens all around the world, and just hiring those firms and buying data that way? Yeah. Is that happening? Could be. I wouldn't see why it wouldn't be happening. So,
And I would argue with you as well, with the Snowden revelations a couple of years ago, we know that the U.S. government was also collecting a bunch of data on people from around the world, right?
Well, there have been reports of federal agencies who have used data collection companies, and they just bought data for investigations. So
I mean,
does this really matter?
I guess it all comes down to the fact that, listen, if you have technology, the reality is governments are watching.
Unless everyone is on board on the same policies, every company around
never
the entire world are following the same rules. Does this really matter? Because your data is being collected by Americans selling companies to sell your data, and they can sell it to anybody.
Yeah, or the Five Eyes, right, which is Australia, New Zealand, United States, Canada, and Great Britain.
Or if you're John Oliver, you buy it from Congress people.
Yeah, exactly. You keep coming back to that. That's like the third show you've talked about.
I know.
It was a good segment.
It was a good episode.
I just wonder if he's ever going to release that stuff, right? So, what's the next one?
The next one. Okay, so did you see the one last week about a Google engineer saying that a Google chatbot has become sentient?
All I could think about was Terminator.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's all I could think about. Like,
Google engineer working on an AI chatbot fired because they basically broke their NDA, and they published a report saying that they're working and was developing a chatbot that was basically able to have thoughts and feelings.
Is that what sentient means? I know what it means, but
similar
just in case.
to a human child. So it was aware of its own existence. It was fearful for being turned off and losing that cognitive ability. Yeah. Is that sentient? Data scientists and engineers are debating that, but
it looks like it, actually. Like when you read it. You know, it also reminds not just of the Terminator, but what was Space Odyssey? What was the name of that?
2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah, right. What was the name of that?
Kubrick. Movie, right?
Do you remember because it was Cal? That's right. It was sentient, right? So
hi, John.
Hi, Brandon. How are you this morning?
Unplug.
I know. It's interesting. Like, you know, I think back to the book I read in high school, Orwell's 1984, right? Like there was so much foreshadowing in that book that we would never even consider becoming reality back then, but now we're seeing stuff like this, right? So it's interesting, right? It's the Matrix, man.
There is a trend where science fiction, you know, people grow up reading science fiction in their time, and then when they become skilled, they try to develop technology that mimics the science fiction.
Dick Tracy is a good example, right? The phone watch, right? Now we've got the Apple Watch, right? Like, there's so many different things, but this is very interesting. And you know, now the question is if this thing gets released, can you turn it off?
Well,
will it let you turn it off?
Well, that's the whole premise behind 2001 Space Odyssey. It didn't want to be turned off.
I know.
So it did whatever it could to maintain alive.
I know. It's interesting, right? It does bring up all kinds of ethical and moral discussions.
If it is alive, can you turn it off? I mean, that's a whole Netflix Black Mirror series on the ethics of, is technology alive?
And if
does
it is,
have rights?
Yeah, and if it is, I like just look at. I mean, you could go so deep. Like, here's a tangent for you. If it is technically declared to be alive, a living thing, well, then can you turn it off? Because in the United States, they're arguing over the very issue of the Supreme Court and abortion laws right now, right? Like, it's very, like, people will say, totally different, right? Like, this is a machine. We're talking about humans. But
there was an interesting episode.
Like, it's very interesting how deep you can go on this, right?
There was an interesting episode in Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
It asked some really good questions on you know, AI was, you know, given rights, but AI has to be able to express feelings in 5 different ways. You cannot develop AI because that would be inhumane. Basically, they can only express in less than. Yeah. Anyways,
it's like
there's a lot of questions.
What's interesting is if you combine this one now with robotics, right? Like, what's interesting is, you know, when all these robots by Dynamics or whatever that company,
Boston Dynamics,
you know, people were saying, you know, they're pretty cool, but we'll never weaponize it. Whatever.
I didn't add it into the show today, but there was an article last week on an autonomous tank.
Oh, that's nothing new.
Yeah.
Right? That's nothing new.
I guess drones came before that.
Yeah. I mean, anyways, it's very interesting now. Like, if you meld robotics with AI chatbots that are becoming sentient in nature.
The brain of a human child.
Like, can you imagine some of the issues surrounding that? Like, there's some very interesting moral and ethical questions that need to be asked. But what's very interesting about this is that countries who have morals and ethics, they will probably go, we don't, but those countries that aren't will go, let's build these things. Let's set them loose on the world. Yeah. Let's release fire and let's let it go. Right? So,
yeah.
I guess the
only thing we have, thankfully, right now is I guess we have,
Hi, Brandon. What can I do for you this morning?
Thankfully, we outnumber it. We have more human-controlled military compared to AI-controlled military.
Yeah, okay. We control it now. But what happens if this gets released and it goes into the cloud and all of a sudden starts to expand exponentially? I know.
It would have to be in control and somehow figure out
how to darken the Terminator.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here.
All right. Next
the
article.
Matrix.
So
Firefox.
Title.
One of my
Firefox
favorite.
just gave 3 billion Google Chrome users a reason to switch.
Okay, what's going on here? Like, I love Firefox. Right?
So Chrome has coming out with its new version of Manifest, version 3. Manifest is the coding architecture, we'll call it, of its plugin support.
Gotcha.
Many browsers, you can add add-ons that basically add new features and functionality.
Got it.
The problem is Manifest version 3 under security is in its architecture is designing ways that prevents plugins from interacting with web pages.
Right.
And there is some legitimate rationale for this. Malicious plugins have been a very common way of hacking, exploitation that are used by cybercrime.
Right.
So I get that. However, upon testing, some of the privacy-focused plugins will cease to work or will break or will have problems because there are plugins out there that improve your privacy while you're browsing the internet.
So just for people who don't know, what's a plugin?
It's an add-on. It's a program you can attach to your browser.
Right.
So Firefox is not running on Manifest, and it has maintained openness that you can basically add any plugin you want, and it can get control for how you want. So,
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because as online investigators, which we are, I'll use Google, I'll use Firefox, I'll use Brave. Like, I'll use a variety of different browsers to meet needs that we're using as investigators. However, for the average person, if you're an individual who's concerned about safety and privacy issues, then I would argue with you that Firefox is the better option, right?
For privacy, for safety, Chrome does have an advantage. Although it decreases, in regards to preventing external hackers from exploiting you, Chrome is a very strong platform. However, it is weaker because of this update.
And because it's owned by Google.
Yeah, I mean, if privacy-focused plugins that prevent ads, who is the biggest ad provider on the internet?
Porn.
I was going to say Google.
Oh, sorry.
I mean,
okay.
Every website,
but the porn industry.
Every website has a Google ad. Not every website has a porn ad.
That's true. Okay, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, that would be number 2. But
porn.
But Google is the biggest ad provider on the internet. So their security update prevents people from trying to prevent their ads.
Things that make you go,
So for privacy, Firefox, assuming you're actually using privacy plugins.
You know, one of the things we are starting to see, Brandon, is we are starting to see teens, especially in middle schools and high schools, now becoming more sensitive to the privacy issues surrounding their browsers, right? And so, if you were to talk to teens now about some of their biggest concerns, it's really not about online safety from predators and pedophiles. I mean, most teens, especially at the high school level, have got a pretty good grounding on safety and security issues. Most, not all. But what we are hearing from them is they're bigger concerned about protecting about what the internet knows about them from a privacy standpoint, right? So it's interesting. So I think that education on this topic is working. It really is, because there's a variety of different groups, ourselves included, that have been hounding on this now for years at younger ages. So as a result of that, we're seeing teens now moving into young adulthood who are more sensitive to what the internet is learning about them based upon their browsers. So again, you know, one of the things I say to people is that if you're one who's concerned about privacy issues and what the internet knows about you, then using things like Firefox or the Brave browser combined with a VPN, you know, you know, and using some other things like Proton Mail or, you know, some of the other things that are out there are definitely the better way to go than using any of the Google products. Yeah. Now, the Google products, there's no doubt about it, they're more robust.
And they're secure against hackers.
Right. They're more robust for sure. But with that comes the vulnerability to our privacy because that's how they're making their money, right? So very interesting. Yeah. Next one.
Last article for today is Discord. Discord releases automatic content moderation tool to support its overworked
So
mods.
just for the adults and parents and caregivers that are watching us, Brandon, what is Discord? Like Discord, there's lots, I've been seeing over the past 8 months now, lots of discussions about parents wanting to know the safety surrounding Discord, but they actually don't know what Discord is. So what is Discord?
Discord's just another social network. Anything that Facebook does, Discord does. Discord is unique in a way in that it doesn't basically allow for the Discord systems to filter you.
Yeah.
So it is a lot more open, but a lot of Discord communities servers do rely on mods, which are basically higher tier members who have the permission and authority to remove people, filter things and whatnot.
So just before we get into this, I mean, is one of the advantages to Discord, it is a social media platform, but it allows young people to basically govern and have more agency with the use of it through the use of moderators, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
the best thing I can relate to Discord is like it's like an old school forum. So in the, there were forums. Yeah. Discord's like the Web3 version of that. So there's videos, pictures, direct messaging. It's the next version of a digital form.
Now,
in a way,
the challenge with Discord is that there's as many servers as there are topics that aren't NSFW, right? Not safe for work, parent or adult
there's
oriented.
non-safe for work Facebook pages as well.
No, for sure. But it's easy for young people to access information on Discord, much like any place else on the internet. Yeah. Now, does Discord have safety and security built into it, or is it somewhat lacking compared to some of the other products that are out there? So in other words,
it's not on by default in that Discord communities are run by moderators, administrators who create their own. Basically, Discord, you're able to create your own social network.
That's the key.
Under your own rules and parameters you set up.
And that's what's key. That's what I like about it. They're not depending upon the rules set up by Facebook or TikTok or anything.
Now, there are global rules in that you cannot spew fake medical information. Right. There are some overarching global rules, but it's not like on Facebook where it will filter you or ban you.
But what it does do is allows young people to have community of self-minded individuals on topics that are of interest to them, right?
Doable.
Yeah. Okay. So what's over this?
The Discord auto mod. So Discord, as the company, is implementing an auto moderation tool, which will help mods. Because right now, a lot of Discord moderation is by humans,
right?
Usually community leaders who take the role at making the community safer and making sure rules are being followed.
Right.
Which has an advantage, but
yeah.
For a community who has little mods or overworked mods, that's a lot of work for someone who basically is a volunteer.
So just a comment, and I wish to hear your thoughts on this. I still think that AI, although the sentient thing we just spoke about may change things a little bit, but I still think AI is to the point where it can't read context into what it's reviewing. So I still think wherever possible, having a human moderator is more preferable than having an automatic moderator. However, like you say, if you're a small creator on Discord and you don't have people who can volunteer their time to mods, because your partner runs just an awesome Discord channel and she has great human moderators, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, but for smaller Discord creators, I think this is a good thing.
It's a pretty basic mod, so it's mostly like word filtering and detection. So it's not a robust artificial intelligent auto mod. It is pretty simple. There are third-party moderation tools people can import into the Discord server. This is just a built-in feature that's being supported.
But one of the things surrounding your basics that are picking up on words and symbols is that they're constantly changing because young people recognize that, you can't use the word suicide, right, anymore. So they'll use different words or different combinations of words that doesn't say suicide, but it's clear that that's what it is to escape AI moderation. This is why having human AI people who are constantly ingrained or engaged in this stuff will recognize that, I just ate pasta is actually code for suicidal thoughts and ideations, where maybe a AI moderation tool will not do that. Right. So,
yeah. But more tools are better than nothing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at least it's something. So, but it's very interesting. Like, Brandon, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's been lots of discussions in a lot of the parent forums that I visit right now where a lot of parent forums are poo-pooing Discord. Like, they're telling parents, don't let your kids, no matter what their age, go on Discord. Danger, 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 danger.
All the bad things Discord has, Facebook has. The downside is that Facebook has its artificial intelligence that filters and mods. Discord, guess what? It really only has one ad.
Yeah.
And that's for its Discord Nitro, which is its premium version.
Yeah.
That's it. And Facebook, you are bombarded with ads. Your entire timeline is ad. Come on. Who wants that?
And the other thing, too, is, when it comes to Discord, one of the things we say is, parents, create your own private Discord server with your child, and you can control who you and your child together can control who can come into that Discord.
That would require work.
It does. And so, that's something that we parents have got to take more of an active role in, which as we know, is one of the biggest challenges, right? Parental abdication. But that's a part of that is education as well. So, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, Discord's great. It's not inherently bad. Anything Discord does that's bad, Facebook does, and Instagram does, TikTok has.
Yeah, Snapchat. They all have their. It's not the app or the social network. It's how people use it, for sure. But I do think it is important for parents to know that there's just as many Discord channels as there are topics for discussion, and some of those topics may not necessarily be appropriate for younger people, right?
No,
but the
same thing on certain Facebook groups.
Yeah, same thing on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, right? So just to be aware of that, right?
Yeah, and that's that.
Yeah, good show.
Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.
See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.